All right, folks, good evening. It's Tuesday. It's the Hartford Online Radio Network on thehorn.com. We got a little bit of echo in this microphone.
Yes, we do.
All right, but we're going to take care of it. I know you are. And this is Open for Business. We're sorry we're running a few minutes behind time here, but thanks for having the patience to hang in there with us. Open for Business is a show that features hands-on business owners, and we've got a great one with us tonight, a guy named Danny Strong. He's got a great story to tell. Basically, again, Open for Business talks about running a business in the 21st century, and specifically here in 2012. Our sponsors are Gateway Financial Group, the accounting firm of Budwitz and Meyerjack, Sherpa Technologies, CentralCTDental.com, which is the homes of Dr. Camp, Sambor, and Lupini. I'm hearing a little bounce back in the cans as well. So we got some technical difficulties going here, but welcome, Ken. It's always good.
Ooh, we got echo. Is my mic live?
Welcome, Dan.
It's all live.
It's all live?
My
Oh, my
God.
gosh.
So as those of you that have stayed with us over the weeks and tuning into the show, you know that we really enjoy sharing a couple quotes, and I've got two really cool individuals with us this evening, or their quotes with us. One is Don Shula, and the other one is Babe Ruth. Okay, so here's the guessing. First one is, the start is what stops most people. Great quote.
S-T-A-R-T?
The start. The start is what stops most people.
That'd be Shula.
You got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
Is he good or what? So you got, obviously, guess who this is. You just can't beat the person who won't give up. And that would be Dave Moore tonight, damn it.
These are technical.
He ain't
I'm
giving
gonna
up. He's swinging, pushing buttons, cursing. David, Babe Ruth was thinking of you when he came up with that.
Tell me about it. He left the Red Sox. I'm not going to leave the Red Sox.
Actually, that echo is very appropriate for Ruth. It's like the ball going out, 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 out. Way back, way back. You got it.
I happened to see the Babe Ruth story the other night or day with John Goodman.
Really?
Yeah, I have to say I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed John Goodman. I thought he did a good job in that. I don't know if
Goodman's good.
Yeah, he really is. So, Danny,
Echo's
welcome.
gone.
Yes, baby.
Yes.
The Babe, the spirit of Babe is shining down on you this evening there, David.
Tell me about it.
So, again, Danny, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Glad you're here, Danny, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks for the patience.
My name is Danny Strong, and
We're going to ask you to move a little closer to
A little
that mic.
closer.
I'm Danny Strong, and I own Disaster Restoration Services in Middletown, Connecticut. Basically, what we do is insurance repair and reconstruction services. We're a full-service general contractor, but again, we specialize in insurance repair. So when somebody has a damage to their home due to water, fire, mold, something to that, we'll go out and take care of it and put them back to original pre-loss condition. We basically have a couple of competitors out there, Service Master and Serve Pro. They primarily don't do reconstruction services, but we'll take it from start to finish and do the entire thing from start to finish.
So, Danny, you were kind enough before the show started to share a little bit of your history of how you got started in the industry, and if you wouldn't mind, kind of give us the treetop version of what you told us earlier.
I actually got into the business through seeing an ad in the paper for carpet cleaning, and I actually got into the business through Service Master of Stratford, which I actually still have a good relationship with. I started carpet cleaning for them, and I picked up extra hours by doing the water mitigation aspect of things, and I learned the psychrometry, which is the atmospheric readings of drying.
Okay.
So
I'm learning.
I got a lot of training on that, and really enjoyed it. So I followed through the industry by learning a lot about that, deodorization, and other things, and took it from there. Went from company to company, and
When did you start Disaster Restoration Services?
I started in 2009.
And why?
Because the company I was at was doing some drastic changes. The owner, it was a family business, and the owners sold out to a equity partner.
Okay.
And from there, they their contract was up, so they were their basically contract was to bring in a new general manager, and they brought in that general manager and they exited, and that general manager wanted to bring it to government contracting without any clients. So I was in the Connecticut office. They were somewhat nationwide, and so I've facilitated the emergency mitigation aspect of things for the Connecticut location, and met a lot of people doing that, and I dealt with a lot with larger losses on the mitigation side. So they also did construction, and that's where I learned the construction aspect of things, doing estimating and managing construction projects.
Okay, so I got to ask you, it's 2009, you see them migrating to government contracting.
Yep.
And you're sitting there saying, that's not the world I want to be in.
Absolutely.
So you made a quantum leap to something that most people don't go to, which is literally saying, I can do this. I'm going to start my own. Tell us about that moment, if you would. What were you thinking about?
Well, I pretty much knew that I was coming to an end at where I was at, and decided that I looked around at the competitors in Connecticut, and not to say that they're not good companies, but I just felt after the last couple of years at my last place of employment, Woods, I dealt a lot with large losses, and doing so, I met a lot of important clients that could refer work on large scale, and built relationships with them, and I just figured that it'd be the best opportunity to go on my own now, so that way I can draw those clients with me versus going and taking that work into somebody else, and then dealing with bringing my clients to them and only getting a small piece of the pie. I mean, it was definitely a scary venture.
Well, I was just going to say, and
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Right now, you sound relatively fearless, but I'm
At
glad
least calm.
but I'm glad to hear you say what you just did, that it was a scary venture. And I think, to kind of climb into Ken's heads, tell us a little bit about that fear factor. What did that seem like, and how you were able to navigate through it? Because as we shared with you, we know that a lot of our viewers and listeners are in the same boat that you're in. They're either considering starting their own business or already in their own business, and that fear factor component always comes up for them as well.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a big fear factor, just because of the fact that obviously you're going to be self-supporting yourself, have to worry about how to be able to get the work done. I mean, it's one thing when you got a big company behind you that has pockets that are capable of funding these jobs, but when you go on your own, you have to worry about funding it, and work with the insurance companies out there. It's not the easiest thing to do, because sometimes, I mean, after last winter, sometimes we had jobs that took a year to pay. So fortunately, things went well, and I made the right decisions and was able to sustain it. I mean, I had fears of am I going to be able to find the right employees, the right contractors? I need to be able to buy all sorts of equipment. I mean, I started with absolutely nothing, and now I have quite the large array of equipment.
All right, so you're 3+ years later.
Yep.
Look back over those 3 years. If you could change any one decision or any one thing you did, what would it be?
I would probably focus a lot more on the details. By details, I mean the organization of the growth, if you will, making sure I have the right programs in place to be able to track everything, such as the accounting aspect, making sure I had an accounting program, because when I first started, I didn't have for the first year and a half, I didn't have an accounting program. Everything was in my head. And for
Ouch.
Checkbook manager. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And an abacus.
And I mean, the first year it didn't work out too bad, but then 2011 came, and with all the crazy winter weather that we had, the storms, that's when the 6 months of not having an accounting program really caught up to me.
Yeah.
So
Now, I want to go back, and I'm sorry, Ken,
That's
I
all
want to
right.
go back to that 2009 startup.
yeah,
And what strikes me in this moment is that in the fall of 2008, Armageddon.
Everything hit the fan.
Everything hit the fan. Armageddon in the financial world,
Yep.
and certainly 2009 for many established businesses, mine included, we ran into challenges. Did any of
Boy,
what
you're
was going?
underselling that. It was more than challenges in 2009.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. There you go. And thank you. But did any of that add to the fear factor? Did you take
Oh,
that
yeah.
into consideration? Like, what the heck am I doing starting a business in one of
Absolutely.
the worst economies in our history?
Absolutely, that was definitely one of the major fear factors. Not to mention, I didn't have the biggest savings going into it myself, so that was definitely a huge fear factor. And I had just bought a new house and a brand new Harley, so it added.
In what order?
Definitely.
Wait a minute. In what order? The house or the Harley first?
Well, I bought the house and then got married, so I decided I better buy myself a Harley before she gets too controlling.
Ooh, wow, man, you just, you did it in every way imaginable.
Yep, absolutely.
And we know who's not going to watch the tape of this show.
She's probably sitting there right now. But one thing that always stuck in my mind is everybody's always said that this business has got its ups and downs, and they're usually pretty short in between. So I was just hoping I can catch one of those ups, and fortunately, I was able to do that.
2010?
2009 was really an establishment year. I was doing all the setup, getting my licenses, getting my insurance, getting my website developed, and because I was still at the previous company, I didn't want to actively market. And then January 2010 is when I actually left my old place of employment and went on my own and started seeking work. I mean, I took on a little bit of things in 2009 that just came in, but 2010 is when I actually physically started marketing everything. And that was mid-January. I would say end of February, we got a severe rainstorm. And with my relationship with Service Master Stratford, I was able to get some referrals from them because they're a national franchise. They get such high volume that they can't maintain it all. Yeah. So they called me in and referred me some losses, and I must have got probably 20 jobs from them right then and there.
Wow.
That's great.
That's a great out of the gate.
Yeah.
And another thing that strikes me is, and Ken, I think you'll be able to speak to this even better than I, we have guests in here that, they do the entire business plan. They bring in the financial team ahead of time. Here's the business plan, here's the accountant, here's the lawyer. We are ready to go. And now, but it sounds like you just, hitched on the
little seat of the pants.
Well, a little bit of that. I mean,
absolutely.
I be honest with you, I actually, I know a lot of people that have gone into business without a business plan, but I actually put one together. And that's where one of my good relationships bloomed, and it absolutely helped quite a bit.
How so? Specifically?
I was working with the Middlesex Chamber and put together a business plan, and I met Paul Hughes.
Oh, I know Paul.
Yep.
Great. He introduced us.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
All right, memory serves me now.
Yep.
Okay.
He's a great guy. He's given me some referrals, and he's definitely helped out. He's had me at a couple speaking events, and he said I need to put a business plan together because I was looking for funding. Because, like I said, I didn't have the biggest savings, and I went to him with my business plan, and he's like, "Wow, you just blew me away. I couldn't believe that you're this much in order, this much about it, how to do it, and I have no qualms about giving you a loan and whatever else." And come to be, I didn't end up even needing it. So I spent a bunch of time with him, and he was impressed by the business plan, and that's what put some confidence behind me to make that step.
Good for you.
So,
Paul's a good mentor. I mean, anybody, particularly in the Middletown area, Middlesex County, he's associated with the chamber down there. And if you're looking for a mentor in an early stage of a business, Paul's the guy. Call him for sure.
absolutely, I would definitely give him some kudos, that's for sure.
Yeah. You also touched on something that I think is particularly challenging in a business, and that's the roller coaster of cash flow and opportunity. Your business, at least the disaster restoration portion of it, is subject to the disasters, and you have absolutely no control over when they're going to have. As I said before the show, besides ski resorts, Danny's the only one that cheers when they forecast nor'easters. I mean, he just loves them coming in. Rain or snow, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if, like this past winter was void of any bad weather.
Absolutely.
I mean, after the October storm, there was nothing.
Yep.
So,
and that was definitely very difficult. I mean, like I said, last year was full of snow, so we had quite a bit of work, and it was one of the most overwhelming years for the insurance industry as well as us and homeowners. And after this winter, this year was the second warmest winter, I believe, in documented history.
wow.
So it definitely made us scale back and draw back quite a bit. So just have to make sure you keep your eye on those budgets. So
I had a mentor early on, a guy named Bill Stanley. Bill, I don't know if he's even still around. He worked for Hubline going back a number of years ago, and he shared with my partner and I, or counseled my partner and I, to say, always keep your eye on the money. I mean, it was just that simple, and it was the best piece of advice in some ways that I ever received. Let's go back to you not having that accounting, piece of software.
Yeah.
How were you able to keep your eye on the money? Was that a challenge for you? And
Be honest with you, I've always been very good with numbers. Most people are, I know definitely my office is impressed by it because of the fact that, I can see a phone number once and half the time remember it. So, especially when it comes down to money. So I have a good ability to remember it all. But like I said, once that busy snow season started, that's when we definitely needed to get the financial programming to start. And ever since then, it's definitely helped keep an eye on things. And I'm able to go back and check and log everything and follow things a lot closer and tighter. But you're always working on something to make it a lot easier because a lot of those programs are quite difficult and extensive, and you only need to do a little bit, but they do so much more. It makes it difficult.
Danny, you've got one other aspect of the growth that you experience that, knowing you and your business as I do, I'd love you to talk about it a little bit, and that's hiring the right people.
Yeah.
Because I know you cycled through quite a number of contractors and people to support you, some with regret, some without.
Yeah.
So take us on a little trip through that, if you will.
Well, obviously I started and didn't have anybody but myself, and as things grew, I took some people on. I made the mistake of one of my regrets would be hiring people that you know. That's definitely one thing I wouldn't go through again because it makes things a lot more difficult. People don't know how to differentiate that line between boss and friend, and that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't go through it again. I mean, the people that I have now, I would keep, but if I were to go through it again, I wouldn't go through that way. I would just make sure you have a good interview process and make sure you extensively not only interview them, but I would put some tests together for them and definitely follow through on the credentials and check their previous places of employment and then past work experience. One thing that I've started to do is actually hire them as a contractor for a week or two before I'd even take them on, just so I can actually see that quality of work, because a lot of people talk the world but can't even begin to follow through with it. And of course I made the mistake of taking that on, but at this point I've weeded through everything, and after such a slow season last year, a lot of our competitors have gotten rid of a lot of guys, and I plan to take advantage of that and pick out the good ones out of that. And luckily I had a strong foundation of subcontractors that I've utilized in the past and have with me and utilized for 8+ years now, so that foundation really helps still maintain a good path and reputation.
That's great. So we want to remind folks that we have Danny Strong with us, who is the president, right?
Yep, correct.
Of Disaster Restoration Services. And if you're not following us on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter, then we want you to start with us right now. So, Danny, Ken's kind of already asked this question, but I'm going to go back to it because you did answer. I'm just curious as to the stumbles, and it seems like you do a really good job of picking up on where you fall short. But one more time, where are the areas that you feel you need to improve upon to get your business to be where you want it to be, say by the end of 2012, let alone spilling into 2013?
I'd say primarily organization and just staying on top of things is the primary key in our business, because when somebody's home gets in a disarray due to a storm, weather, mold, whatever it may be, their main importance is to go ahead and get back into that home. And without being organized and staying on top of it and continually calling them and touching base with them, because things are constantly changing. Even though we have to write the job as like kind of quality, same materials, homeowners are constantly changing things, and without organization and constant follow through with those homeowners, you'll never be able to make it in this industry without being able to stay in contact with those customers and continually touching base with them and make sure you have your details organized where you can find them, look it up, and make sure you have them sign off on it, because if it ain't on paper, it didn't happen. That's definitely one important thing you've learned in this industry.
So you're very much a project-oriented approach to business in the sense of punch lists, checklists, stages of completion, and
Absolutely.
that kind of thing. Are the insurance companies kind enough to pay off on completion stages like a bank with a mortgage would do?
Whew. When it comes,
I think the answer is no, based on that reaction.
No, absolutely not. I mean, typically the way it works is basically you go in and you do the mitigation, and which is the actual damage itself, and remove the affected materials, and then you meet the insurance company out there and go over your repair estimate and come to an agreement. At that point in time, they'll release typically the mitigation money or the emergency money, and then they'll release a portion for the repairs. And a lot of times, anything over $10,000, typically the mortgage companies are on it, and then it goes to the bank, and it becomes a nightmare after that. So more often than, especially after last year being so chaotic, the insurance companies were taking even longer to pay. So I mean, last year we actually had jobs that we had to wait a year to pay. And this year is a lot closer to 90 days. But not only that, but there's milestones in there. At 90% complete, like you said, we do a pre-completion punch list just to make sure expectations are the same, met, quality's met, everything to that effect. And then upon completion, they have to sign off saying the job's successfully completed. We'll have to submit that to the insurance company, and then roughly between 5 and 12% gets held back until that gets received, and then they'll disperse that.
Now, I'm also curious. The people with the money are the insurance companies and or the bank. The people you're doing the work for are the homeowners.
Correct.
Who's your client?
We usually say we have 4 clients.
Okay.
So it's pretty difficult, but we have to appease everybody, otherwise we're at the raw end of the stick.
So who are the 4?
The insurance company, well, actually, first and foremost, the homeowner, because they're the ones that actually sign off saying that they're responsible if the insurance company doesn't pay or whatever else. So ultimately, they're the primary client.
All right.
Secondarily would be the insurance company, because we want to obviously appease the adjuster as well to make sure that they see that we do a good job and continue to get referrals from them, or they could even throw us off a job if they don't like us in the future. Insurance agency, because the insurance agents are typically highly involved. And then lastly would be the bank, but the banks we typically don't have much involvement with, but obviously they still have to come out and do inspections, and they're still involved because they're the ones holding the money until the end mostly.
And if you were to go out and we need to take a break?
Shortly.
Shortly. All right.
Why
Last
don't you
question.
finish that question.
If you were to go out and do a client satisfaction survey, would the questions you asked of the homeowners be the same as what you would ask of the insurance company or the insurance agency, or are there different metrics and barometers that they measure you by?
Overall, everybody measures by quality of the work completed.
Okay, so we have one touchstone,
Yeah.
Quality
Correct.
above all else.
But I mean, the insurance company also has to worry about making sure that our estimate and our documentation is correct, because unlike private construction, I mean, you can have a $3,500 job have 40 pieces of paper that you have to hand in because of the fact of the detail of the estimate, the authorization you got to have signed, all sorts of different paperwork.
Wow.
So it gets quite important to be organized.
Well, remind me, Tommy, I want to go back to this client satisfaction issue as I hear our music
I heard
coming in.
our rooster.
Our
That's
rooster.
that's the on the horn rooster, right?
It is.
How much do we pay him?
Not enough.
We
He keeps
want
us
to
awake.
remind you that we have Danny Strong with us this evening. Danny, thank you. Before we take a short break, I'm going to read one of our commercials from one of our illustrious sponsors, and that's CentralCTDental.com. It's the home of Doctors Camp, Sambor, and Lupini. For serious issues or a routine checkup, there is nowhere else to go but the CentralCTDental.com. They're easy to get to. They're on the Plainville-Farmington line, or you can call them at 860-747-5761, and you can make an appointment with them online as well. That's CentralCTDental.com. We'll be back with you in a couple minutes.
OnTheHorn.com.
You having fun?
Yeah.
Budwitz & Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut. Large enough to handle engagements of enterprises with annual revenues in excess of $100 million, yet small enough to cater to smaller businesses and individual clients who expect personalized attention from partners and staff. Client service is the cornerstone of our practice. Our clients have a fixed fee for their audit and tax work. What this means to the client is we're approachable. Personal communication and client services make for strong relationships. Budwitz & Meyerjack, certified public accountants.
Sandits Travel for business and leisure. We'll take you there. Sandits Travel has been proudly serving Connecticut since 1960. That's over 50 years. And we're ready for another 50 years of superior service. Whether you prefer to come in, call in, or log on, we invite you to explore how efficient, diverse, and fun it is to book through Sandits Travel. Save your money and your time with us. Sandits Travel. We'll take you there.
OnTheHorn.com.
Open for Business is also brought to you by Deepwater Seafood of Avon, just for the halibut. Farmington Valley's freshest seafood. They will work with you and your schedule. Call ahead at 860-676-9657 or fax 860-677-2281. Deepwater will set aside your order for pickup after work, Mondays through Fridays, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sea scallops, fresh oysters, fish and chips, soup, bisques, chowders. Having a party? Paella for 12. A salad is all you need. Made with spicy chicken, andouille sausage, scallops, shrimp, and halibut. Deepwater Seafood of Avon, just for the halibut.
We can use that music a little bit higher. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back, Danny. Welcome back, Ken.
Thank you.
You're tuning in to the second half of Open for Business. Once again, we have Danny Strong with us this evening. Danny is the president of Disaster Restoration Services. I'm going to slow down. And Ken, you had a question I know that you wanted to start the second half of the show off with.
Yeah, I want to revisit the client satisfaction issue. You mentioned quality. The quality of the work as being the number one criteria. That too frequently I hear so many entrepreneurs get wrapped up into what they're doing, and their focus goes inside, internal, as opposed to external. What is the client saying or reacting to? When you were talking about regrets, you were talking about operational issues, you were talking about management issues.
Yeah.
Tell me how that gels with quality, and is it a critical part of what you need to do?
Is what a critical part?
What I'm trying to get a sense of is managing the company versus managing the quality. How intertwined are they?
They're pretty intertwined, because if you're not overviewing the jobs and getting out there, that's one thing. I was focused a little bit too much on the growth of the business and buying new vehicles and trying to grow with the business, that I wasn't getting out there enough and focusing on the jobs. So it gave my managers a little bit of leeway to not pay as much attention. But I've learned my lesson from that, and I've had time to regroup and focus and make sure I go out there and check those jobs, and also be a participant in those jobs and deal with my clients and make sure I have a conversation with them as to what their needs are and wants are, to make sure that the quality is there. Because obviously if the managers aren't focusing 100% on the jobs, then things could go wrong. Yeah. And that's not something that I want to happen on any of my jobs.
Can't blame you.
I mean, that's one thing I have learned, is that if something does go wrong, to make sure we address it right then and there versus wait until the end, because it's a lot more costly to fix it upon completion than it is to stop it, address it, repair it, and then move forward. So
Tommy makes me think of a quote I heard earlier today. You could save it for a future show.
Okay.
Mediocrity is the fastest path to nowhere.
I love it.
Nice.
You like
I
that
like
one?
that one.
All right.
Well, I'm going to different spin on the question, Danny, that Ken just asked you. It strikes me, and I'm as guilty of this as any entrepreneur out there, wearing as many hats as my business, job, clients demand from me to wear. But here's the question. If you could give up a handful of the hats that you wear, because it sounds like you are involved in every aspect of running your business. I mean, literally soup to nuts, kitchen to table. What would be the handful of tasks, responsibilities that you would hang on to, and what would be the handful of tasks, responsibilities that you would gladly delegate and let go of?
I would definitely hold on to the emergency side of things, the demolition and the mitigation, and the repair aspect of things. But when it comes to the accounting, I mean, obviously I like to look at the numbers and see where the profitability is, but the QuickBooks and all these different functions drive me nuts. And just trying to get the taxes done was a month nightmare where I'm pulling my hair out. That's why I'm thinning a little bit. So those are something I definitely pass off.
Now, when you say the repair, do you mean literally being on the job, equipment in hand? I mean, getting your hands and, clothes dirty, or you're there directing, the troops to do what it is exactly that needs to get done?
I like being involved. I'll actually get my hands dirty quite a bit, actually, but more so the management aspect of things, making sure we have the right guys where they're supposed to be, directing them as to what to do, how to do it, and that's pretty much about it.
So here's the $64,000 question.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point? How does Danny Strong take his business to that place where now you're doing just the things that you want to do, and you've achieved that level of comfort, if you will, to be able to do that and delegate the rest?
Well, at this point, like I said, I've got a lot of growth behind me, so I'd like to think I can move forward in the right direction, and I've done a couple things to do that, and just make sure we get the right people in the right place, and not be willing to move fast or forward too fast. Sometimes people take on more than they can handle, and I've begun to realize that it's not always worth it. I was always willing to take on that client that might not necessarily be right for us for one reason or another, but I've learned not to necessarily do that. And like I said, the right person for the right place. So going forward, make sure I have the right people in place. And we've also affiliated ourselves with a company called DKI, which I think will help do that. Like I said, when I was at Woods, I dealt with a lot of clients that were high-end clients that could produce a lot of high volume, or not high volume, but large scale jobs, but they weren't necessarily capable of referring them to us, or weren't willing to, because of the fact that I was the little guy, local guy. But I've recently affiliated myself with a company called DKI, which is Disaster Cleanup International. They're considered North America's largest restoration firm. We're basically we are a franchise, but we're all independent, and everything goes through us versus corporate. So we make the decisions, and there's a pretty good scrutiny before you can. It's not like anybody can become a member. You have to actually get scrutinized, interviewed, inspected, and live up to certain standards in order to be able to be part of the affiliation.
So this elevates your competitive posture with ServiceMaster and ServPro then?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And what you get out of the deal is not only the affiliated branding with DKI, but I assume that there is the potential for referral business coming to you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because they're nationwide and it's because they have 250 something different businesses working in the DKI brand, and so they're and it's all across the United States. So they have contracts with insurance companies such as Chubb, Ameriprise, and a few others that'll refer work directly to them.
Good names.
By being affiliated, we'll get work through them, and what it also does for us is it gives me the potential of being able to call in my other DKI surrounding members for assistance on large scale work. They have over 75,000 pieces of equipment throughout the United States, which I'm assuming has grown because that was 2010 numbers. So obviously, if we had a large loss or nor'easter or something hit the area, we can bring that equipment up to help service other clients.
Well, inadvertently, you got to my next question. How does the DKI affiliation benefit your existing and potential client base? When they hear that, what's the benefit for them?
Well, the benefit for them is the fact that we're capable of calling in other members. Excuse me, and not only that, but calling in larger equipment and more equipment to the area. So a lot of times when we get inundated with storms, a lot of people run out of equipment. Other companies run out of equipment, so we're capable of getting more equipment and other members. And it's not like your local other companies where they're just calling in temp services. We're calling in other DKI members who have to pass certain scrutiny, drug testing, other things to that effect, which makes sure that your work is going to be above bar and not substandard.
Well, you'll appreciate this, Tom. And the branding, the emotional branding tied to a name like DKI, it goes an incredibly long way. I mean, it's like a good housekeeping seal of approval. I mean, when you first described it to me, Danny, the analogy that popped into my head was RE/MAX in the real estate industry. I mean, most people look in real estate brokers today, and RE/MAX frequently rises to the very top because they're independently owned. These are individuals that run their own businesses, have to be sustainable, have to be profitable, and don't rely on mother's milk from the corporate all of the time. And that's the same sense that I get with the DKI affiliation, is that you are sort of like the RE/MAX of the disaster restoration world.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to be open for business for 3 years prior to even being eligible to become a DKI member. And the one reason why I joined it was, one, to be able to call in those other members and to be able to get that additional equipment so I could service those larger clients I had. But two, the main reason why I was still liking the idea was because of the fact that franchises, anybody can get them. Once you get it, you're automatically there, and you can hold on it for however long you want. DKI, every 3 years, you have to go through a reassessment and be voted in to continue on as a member. So if you're doing subpar quality work, you're not going to get reelected to maintain membership.
That's a nice brand.
Hey, man, that's great.
You know, I'm going to give you a piece of unsolicited compliment right here. And it sort of builds on your question of earlier, Tom. Over the almost 2.5 years that we've known each other, I think.
Yep.
The difference that I see in you now versus then, that I think will enable you to get to that next level that Tom was asking about, is the fact that you are a proactive leader now. When I met you originally, you were in the midst of high growth and very reactionary by necessity. I mean, you had so much going on, you didn't have much choice except to react to the next whack-a-mole that popped its head up.
Pretty much.
But where you are now, you've said, I'm not going through that again. I'm going to take control of this business. And you put in systems, you put in software, you put the right people on the bus, to borrow from Jim Collins. You looked for the right affiliations to enhance the brand. I mean, if we ever want to talk about leadership in practice, Danny's a great story for it. I mean, you really, in a short period of time, have repositioned your business for some exceptionally strong and profitable growth. And I think that's outstanding.
Well, thank you very much. Like you said, I'm just not willing. When things got overwhelming, we were getting 70 phone calls a day. You always got people yelling at you for one reason or another. So,
why are you laughing so loud about that one?
I'm in a similar industry.
Yeah.
Well, and they say it's not how you do the work or how you fall. It's a matter of how you pick up the pieces and move on from there. So I definitely learned some things from that, and I definitely want to be more organized and put systems in place so we can very easily track what's going on jobs and very easily take a look at that and continue to monitor that so we can move forward in the right direction and not have to worry about, is this person getting carpet or tile? You know what I mean? We already know what's going on. We already know what's supposed to be there. Customer signed off on it. We have those documents where they're supposed to be.
All right, so we're just shy of midpoint 2012. Imagine it is end of December 2013. And you know that the front page article next week in the Hartford Business Journal for the first week of January 2014 is going to be a profile of the success of disaster restoration services. What's the story tell you?
It tells me that we've just bought our second office.
All right.
Definitely long-term goals. Next 3 to 5 year plan would be to grow, and I'm looking to either grow Massachusetts or somewhere south. If I were to go south, it'd be somewhere around Maryland because I've heard a lot of success there. Obviously north because it seems to be colder there and is colder there, so that would definitely help. And I mean that's my long-term goal is to franchise and retire off franchise fees, but that's a long ways away.
Everybody wants passive income. Everybody I talk to wants passive income.
And that would be a bad thing?
No, absolutely not. I'm still looking for my solution.
Keep in mind that at least that kind of passive income is not like the passive income such as buying a lotto ticket.
Yes, very true.
You're actually doing something by creating the franchise and creating the brand that makes the franchise work.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Well, as a dear friend of mine who's very much involved in multi-level marketing industry refers to it, it's money while you sleep, making money while you sleep.
Yeah.
And there's something energetically that's absolutely right about that for me.
It's definitely something right.
I mean,
right
do you
for
know
me
what
as
I'm
well.
saying, David?
I have a tad of an understanding there.
I want to know why the adjective energetically was put in front of that. It doesn't seem very energy prone to me.
But that's the whole concept of it.
Okay.
Like it really works for me. Yeah, I'm sleeping and the bank account's growing. Yes.
You like that?
Now, typically, you guys close with 3 questions.
Oh, yes. Are we at that moment?
I think we're getting very close to that moment.
And this is with accolades and compliments to James Lipton and Inside the Actors Studio. I gotta see if I remember the questions. All right. If you could do... I can't remember the damn questions. Isn't that terrible? Do you remember?
If there is one thing that you could be doing right now, forgetting your business as it is, if there was one thing you could be doing right now, what would that be?
Thank you, David.
If it's forgetting my business, sitting on the beach in Turks and Caicos with my wife.
All right.
That's nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy, you just
Little
scored 20
R&R.
points on that one.
So the follow-on to the second one is if there is a job that you absolutely would hate and despise and never do, what would it be?
Accounting.
Why didn't I know that was the answer to that?
I love money and I love counting it, but
Not accounting it.
It's the Pavlovian dollar sign that gets Danny going. And I can't remember the third question.
Well, the last one is you've already asked that question.
Oh, that's right. Paint the future.
Paint the future.
Well, the thing is, you went ahead a year. What do you see in 5 years?
what do I see in 5 years?
Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, definitely a house in the islands, and 5 years. Might as well go with 5 offices.
There we go.
Continuing to grow and grow successfully, and making sure we maintain the utmost quality. And I'd like to be eventually known as the elite mitigation company out there versus just your average run-of-the-mill company. I'd be like to known for the Van Gogh of mitigation and
that's a nice way of
fire
putting it.
restoration.
That's a nice image. Van Gogh of mitigation.
So with that said, Mr. Van Gogh, if there's hopefully there's no major storm or anything coming right now, even though I know you're wishing for it, praying for it.
Quite a bit of rain out there, so.
But if one of our listeners wants to reach out, just so that they have you in their tickler files in case of emergency, how do they go about doing that?
We can be reached at 877-280-7961, or we can be found online at www.drscleanup.com, or you can always call my cell phone after hours at 860-803-1875.
And that message is especially for all insurance agencies out there.
Absolutely.
So once again, folks, thanks for tuning in this evening. Sorry for, a little bit of a delay and some, technical difficulties, but we navigated through it. David Moore, thank you. Now, should I give shout-outs to Brian and his wife? I mean, it feels...
Still in process.
Still in process.
All right, there's going to be a new body, if you will, to the the On the Horn family coming soon. We'll talk about it next week. And, of course, to our guest, Danny, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
being
Danny.
here. We really appreciate it. And Ken, it's always fun working with you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very
See
much
you next
for having
week,
me.
folks.
Cheers.